Annyeong, it's Mikey here, and guys, thank you so much, and I really always thank you so much for constantly helping me support this channel, and yeah, the fact that it's grown so much, and I'm so close to 4,000 subscribers, and hopefully we can really grow this past that and make this channel something even better. Now, I really appreciate everyone that leaves a comment and stuff, and trust me, whenever you guys leave any type of criticism, I don't take it personally, and I feel like it's the best way for me to grow and of course improve this channel. So please don't be afraid to leave those things, and I always try to make sure to reply to pretty much every single comment that I can, and I'll always keep trying to do that no matter how many comments I get. Now, today I really want to thank Wuque Studio because they sent me something special. They sent me this amazing box, and some of you already probably know what this is. I mean, if you actually have followed Wuque Studio and their builds and the keyboards that they've done, you guys must know that this is a really special box. And look how big this thing is. My goodness, I could barely get it on my screen right now. It's huge. So let's get straight into the unboxing, and please make sure to like and subscribe.
So starting off with the unboxing of the Freya Ultra from Wuque Studio. Thank you again, Wuque Studio, for sending me this out. I was quite shocked when I originally received this package because the box was so big. Looking inside, I see why, and wow, I am quite surprised of this beautiful box. This thing looks exquisite of a box, and just an amazing unboxing experience that I'm having. I know though that this thing is worth so much. The keyboard kit, the DIY kit, is 450 USD. So considering that price, I see they put a lot of effort to make sure this unboxing experience is amazing. And it comes with a briefcase case. That's crazy. And I didn't notice this before originally, but there is a drawer there and has all the kit pieces in there. So the PCB, the foams, the extra pieces, extra modules, all in that drawer. I am just actually quite shocked and surprised of this whole unboxing experience. Is definitely something you're getting for a premium, right? You're paying a premium for this board, and a really high premium. From my own perspective, this is actually the most expensive board I've ever built on this channel. Now, you're getting all these extra modules, so you can replace your screen with these modules. Like this one's for the screen replacement, where you can add the 4 extra keys. You can put delete, page up, page down there. It's really nice though that they provide all of these extra modules. Of course, technically you are paying for it, right? You're paying a premium to get all these extra pieces. And to be fair, even when you get an electric keyboard, it's the same thing. You can change your screen for keys, and they provide all those parts. And the same thing as Wuque Studio is doing here. With this, they're providing ton of extra modules though. And this board comes with extra different pieces because it comes with a really nice screen. So you get the screen on the top right, and then you get a knob, like a volume knob on the left. And as you can see in this box, this is it. You're getting this really incredible knob that is, I don't know if it's incredible though. I'm gonna have to try to see how it works. It could be more of a gimmick, but we'll see. And we'll see how well it works, of course. But yeah, I mean, you're getting all these pieces, and you're getting them in a really incredible box, and with an incredible unboxing experience. Now, it's time to open up this briefcase to see what's inside. Now, you get these springs, so they're different weighted springs, meaning depending on how much flex you want on the springs or how much weight you want, you can actually change the springs to feel it lighter or heavier. It's up to you. You get stabilizers, you get all these extra pieces of the connector, and you also get 2 batteries. So you get a total 8,000 milliamp hour battery. Now, time to unveil the beautiful case itself. Now, I got the black anodized one with the silver back. This thing looks incredible, and it feels incredible. It feels really heavy just on the case alone. And as you can see on the back, I haven't taken off the sticker yet, but as you can see, the thing is a mirror. It's an actual mirror. This case looks incredible, and I'm actually quite surprised it does feel incredible. So now Wuque Studio did send me keycaps as well. They sent me their Wuque Studio WOB keycap set, the PBT keycap set. I really wanted to do a clean build on this thing, so let's go straight into building this board. Now, I didn't want to bore you guys, but I also didn't want to take out all the parts of building this board. So we're going to go through this on like a really quick time lapse. I'm like putting this at 1,000 times the speed originally. 1,000 percentage compared to 100%. So as you can see, you get a nice like aluminum plate, and in the middle, interestingly enough, they're doing this new thing where it's you can put it's with a PC plate in the middle, but you can change it up, and they actually provide a 3D model file that you can actually change and or print it yourself and make those changes. So you get the PCB, and you have the batteries, which once you remove the bottom, you can install the batteries in there. And I would highly suggest you actually remove the magnetic connector on the case itself, just to be able to add the batteries in much smoother and much easier. If you don't do it, it's really hard to actually reach the pins, and you might bend something if you don't actually remove it and do it yourself that way. Now, it is super nice that the weight is inside the case, and it's covering the batteries, so the batteries wouldn't get damaged anyway. And yeah, this build is just incredible. Actually incredible. I'm like having a really fun time building this thing, and yeah, going through each part, and I can see like everything's by pins, and it's really incredible here. And I'm just showing you guys, of course, as well how I'm lubing the stabilizers. So I'm using the BDX to do the wires, and then actual just Krytox 205G0 to on the housing of the stem, and then the stem itself for the stabilizers. And these are all screw-in stabilizers, so we just want to make sure put them in correctly. I actually put them in backwards for a moment, and that's my mistake. And these are mistakes that can happen. Of course, I'm not perfect when it comes to building a board, but that's a little mistake I made putting it backwards. And one thing to note as well, when you're doing the stabilizers, you can always do them first, put a decent amount of lube in there, but also afterwards you can always use a syringe and put more in there after. Now, after getting all of the stabilizers in, I'm actually also going to be now putting in all the foams. So you're getting like a sheet for the PCB, the top where the switches are connecting, and then you're going to get a foam in between the plate and the PCB, and then you also get a foam on the back of your PCB. And of course, I put the plate on. I'm not actually going to use screws to do it, just because I might be doing some other testings afterwards, but I am actually just going to put the switches in, and the switches will actually hold it all together. I find that for me, when building, I just sometimes want to just do things in a hurry, and I don't want to have to always put the screws in. Honestly, that's just kind of my own preference. Normally, it should be better for you to do so, just to keep everything more stable, but it's just how I like to do mine. Is I find just putting in the switches in will usually keep it in place. And a lot of times, because I'm making a different changes, or sometimes I want to change different plates in the future, this is what I usually do, which is just put the switches in. Now, of course, I'm gonna have to install the knob. So because it's pin based, the knob is actually connected into the case itself, so you have to screw it in there. And also, you can't forget the connector pin to actually put on the bottom. It's actually quite interesting how it's done there, where once you screw it in, it actually somehow connects in, and it has the two parts, right, the left and the right. So the left is for the knob, and the right is actually for the PCB, and it's sharing the information together. So that I found was interesting, but I wonder if it actually works really well or not, because the last time I was using something like this, where it had the pins and the pin connectors, I didn't actually get a good use out of it. But yeah, so we're gonna be putting this all together, the case in, everything screwed in, and of course so these are by the way, the switches from Wuque Studio. Sorry, I didn't mention this earlier. So I'm using the switches from Wuque Studio, and they're actually a build-it-yourself switch set. So you can choose your housing, the stem, and the bottom housing, and springs however you like personally. Make sure you always lube them though. If you don't lube them, they sound really not great. Like, sounds really, really bad. You actually have to lube these. It's a mandatory lube, and then it sounds much better and much smoother. Without it, it's incredibly scratchy too. Now, that is what I'm using. Time to put on the keycaps, put it all together, and take a look at this beautiful board. Now, I think I did a pretty good job. I think this keyboard looks incredibly clean. I know I was missing a switch when I was building it earlier. It's just because I thought I had counted correctly in terms of the amount of switches, so I just got one more, added it in, and I think this build looks incredibly clean. Like the black on black, whew, oh, it's so nice. Though I think I do want to add accents to this in the future. We'll see what comes along, but the screen is like, this whole build just looks incredible. Like just looking at it, you can tell this is a premium board. Some people might not like it. I personally do like this look. Originally, when I just saw the images of this board before, I thought maybe it kind of looked like toyish, like a toy-ish kind of look to it. But physically holding it in my hands, I realized, wow, this thing looks really nice. Like it looks incredibly premium and really well designed, and I'm quite shocked on it. And yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to put this thing in, make sure all the feet are all in where the screws are gonna be, and of course we're gonna go straight into the sound test with the Wuque Studio switches. So we just finished sound test. As you can see, I actually got accents on my board. Do you see these extra accents that I have on? This is a little bit of a teaser of a future video coming. This is a really good look now on my board. I think this thing looks so amazing. And as you can see, the back looks beautiful. I just waved for you guys. Hello. Yes, you can see my camera there. This build is just, look at that back. It's just so clean. It's just a mirror. I was quite shocked. Now, one thing to note, the stabilizers weren't so amazing. Sound wise, it's a little bit of a tinging sound. You're gonna have to make sure you have extra lube in there. I just didn't have enough lube on mine, and I definitely felt that it really needed it. Now, this build was quite impressive. The screen, right? That screen is actually really, really nice. I was shocked how clear and how nice the screen was. Super surprised. Now, this material that they used for the board, I have to admit, was incredibly well done. This board is just really nice. Like, it feels incredibly nice. I don't have any sharp points, and it feels so good. Like a really high material from it. Now, this case, I think, is really impressive. Honestly, I think this is actually a lot of the cost of the board itself. You're paying $450 USD, and that case itself might be like worth $100. Now, I know you can see the screen has it's gonna have like that flickering. That's just because of the speed from the camera and the screen itself, but it's an incredibly clean screen. Like, it looks so good. It almost looks like it's an OLED screen just looking at you, and it's touchscreen, and it's actually quite reactive. I was actually really, really nicely surprised on that. Now, the knob itself, it's a bit iffy. In general, I have to admit, like, this build is really, really nice. can I justify $450? I don't know, but one thing nice about this board is that you don't actually need to have a switch turned on to make it wireless. You just have to press FN, and you have ZXC, for your Bluetooth, V for the dongle, and then FN space for wired. Really nice feature. The fact that I don't have to make any changes, and it's just automatic. Incredibly well done, and I do appreciate that because that's something I like. I like not having to do many changing, like turning on the switch, turning it off to use this board. Now this is the switch that I was talking about. So it's using the UHMWPE housing and the UPE stem. I think this is the best combination you can go with for the switches. Out of all of them, I think this is my favorite combination. I do have a video before. I did a series on it. Unfortunately, the viewership wasn't coming, so I actually stopped doing it. But this combination for me was the best. And the reasoning behind it is just that I felt that it sounded incredibly creamy and deep, and it just sounds amazing. Now, to be fair, there is stem mobile though, so keep that in mind. Has tons of stem mobile, and the backlighting on it is not great. But let me just give you a little bit of the backlighting. I want to show you guys kind of what it looks like. Now, I tried to catch it on my camera, like really tried my best. All I can do, and like you can see that red dot, that's the only lighting that I'm getting on my camera for this keyboard. It is quite dim, and because of the switches I'm using as well, it's hard to see. That blue light is actually the screen. Now, the screen, when I look at it physically, it's incredibly bright. But on my camera, as you can see, it flickers a lot. It's not super, super bright. And I tried to bring maybe a little bit of a dimmer light to see if I can catch and focus it on for my camera. Unfortunately, as you can see, it's just a dim light on this board itself. It's not really getting caught on my camera, so just be aware. I personally like it though, because it's not so bright, and I don't mind it because I don't really care too much of a bright backlight. But that's how the case is. Now, going further into the site, so as you can see, it's about 450 USD for this board. Mine is with the silver and the anodized black with the tri-mode and non-flex cut. It is about 460, so it's not a cheap board. Right? This is nowhere near budget. This is now going into the premium of keyboards. Not like the super premium. I know there's boards much more expensive than this, but this is getting to a much higher price. They really did put a lot of effort into making this design, and as you can see on their site, they have different collaboration ones that they've done. As you can see here in this image, where they have the breakdown, right, of the touchscreen knob, the slider, and all the different pieces that you're getting. It is quite impressive and incredible. I really do love this design on this board and everything that they provided. That briefcase carrying case is quite impressive, and as I said before, and I truly feel, I think that's where a lot of the cost is coming from as well on this board. I mean, it is using a lot of premium parts and a lot of design and work went into this, but yeah, I mean, definitely think that's one of the things. Now, this board is VIA friendly. This thing works with VIA, so you are able to use it with VIA, which is great, and I appreciate that because it's just so much easier to work with VIA. I think in general, if companies aren't going to put in the effort to support their software for a long period of time, you should use VIA instead. This is just my thing for companies. Please, if you're not going to support a software and make constant updates and work on the firmware, just go with VIA. It's just a better choice, honestly. Now, I was looking for the firmware, trying to find it. Unfortunately, it's not super easy to find on their website. So I was going through it, there is a user manual page, and as I said, you can actually download the Freya plate file, meaning you can 3D print yourself the plate, like the middle plate portion, and that's incredible. I love that they allow that, meaning you can do a little bit more customization of your own choice, which is great. And now to find the actual firmware, where do you have to go? You think you have to go to support, or you can go into where could you go tools and accessories or updates? No, this isn't where it's going to be. The truth of the fact is they actually have a Notion page. It's not super easy to find on their website, but there is a Notion page where all the firmware is available. Same thing goes from electric stuff and Wuque Studio other boards. And all you have to do is go in there and then click on firmware files. There, you're actually going to be able to, click and download the JSON file. Now, I will make sure to put the link to this Notion in the descriptions for you guys, so that's easier for you to find if you do get one of these boards, or say you get a different board, so like Electrics or different board from Wuque Studio. Now we're gonna do a keyboard inspector test, and this thing is 1,000 hertz, so 1,000 polling rate. I would think honestly for 450 USD, they should have went with AK. Like, that's just my personal opinion. Honestly, they should have went with an AK PCB, because it's just adds on top of the premium feel of this board and premiumness of this board. It would have been nice to have that extra feature of AK. Now, going into just further of this review, what do I think of this board to total, right? Like, in terms of the worth of this board, cost of this board, everything, right? What are my thoughts? Now, is it worth it? I don't know if 450, 460 USD for a DIY kit without the keycap switches is truly 100% worth it. It's hard to say because it's a personal thing. It's a personal opinion thing, right? As you can see, it has really good flex. Feels great to type on. Like, it feels incredible to type on. That screen, very effective. That knob, not so much. I'm gonna be honest, that knob, it doesn't work so well. Like, I've tried on my computer. It sometimes catches it, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it catches it in a delay. Like, I'm talking about like 30 seconds later, it starts to work. That's not great. That's why I said it might be a gimmick for that knob. But in total, right, like, you've spent probably, I would just estimate, right? This is an estimation because, like, this board, for example, myself, how much would it have cost this whole build? It would have cost a total of 600 USD, at least 600 to 650 USD at least. Is that truly worth it? That depends on the person. Do you have disposable income that you can put into buying one keyboard, just one, and put everything into it, making everything you want customized, and like looking at this board and seeing how beautiful it is and using it? Maybe then it is worth it for you, right? I personally, and this is a personal thing, wouldn't go out and do so, right? It's like, depends on what you're looking for. For example, I did spend about 350 USD on my Wuting, right? And that's because, again, I'm trying to do more videos on YouTube. That's why I'm doing it for content purposes. Thank you to Wuque Studio again for sending me this out, because for me, I can't afford to do something like this, right? I personally can't afford to buy a board like this. And it's the truth. I cannot afford it. If it wasn't for Wuque Studio sending me this out, I would not be able to afford reviewing this board at all. That is the truth, right? For your average income person, this is not a board that you can just truly afford. Would I say that if you could afford it, and like you had extra money left over to buy this, maybe it is something you can look at, especially if you're looking at one board that is incredibly beautiful and feels incredible to type on with all these extra features. Yes, take a look at this board.
What did you guys think of this build? Now, as I said in the video, these little accents here that I got, they are a teaser, and it's going to be a future video coming up very soon, and I'm excited to try these out, of course, more. But I would love to hear what you guys thought of this Wuque Studio Freya Ultra. I mean, honestly, when I first saw this being released, my thought in my mind was, I can't afford that. Like, I actually can't afford that. And honestly, if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't even be able to try out this keyboard. And this thing looks beautiful. Like, I'm so shocked of how beautiful this thing is. And this thing weighs like a ridiculous amount. Like, I think this thing is about 3.5 kilograms. And it's crazy. This build is so, like, the quality is so nice. And honestly, when I compare this with like the Zoom 65 V2 that I tried, yeah, this is a much more premium build. Like, a much more premium build. And is it worth spending your money of 450 to like almost 600 USD on this board? It really will depend on what you guys are willing to spend on a board. It's a personal preference thing. And honestly, this is gonna be like almost should be, right? Should be your like end game keyboard. And in my honest opinion is I think they should have done 8K PCB. I mean, when you're spending that much money, I think that's kind of the case. Is like you should be looking at about an 8K PCB. I think that's just the only thing that I think this thing was lacking, as well as this volume knob. As I mentioned, it is a little bit gimmicky. It doesn't work all the time, or it starts to work a bit slower. But I mean, this is a beautiful build, and I'm in love with this board, and I'm excited to be having it. This is my pretty much daily driver now. So I'll try more other switches with this too, because I'm excited to hear what other switches are like, and I have a lot that have come in. So I'll catch you guys next time, and please go check out the other videos I got.